Back to no dumb. Alright, we gotta beat this game.
Like today?
Hopefully.
Today. I think we only need 2 more runs through the last one, and that's probably the end.
We've got to kill Shawarma. That's what it says.
I guess they'll be probably the end boss guy.
It's going to be the big...
If you have to...
Your big boss
That guy wants to talk to you. Quickly talk to that guy.
Ignore him, because he's going to make you do stuff.
I wanted you to quickly talk to him so I didn't walk away and get angry. And he'll give you new followers now.
We got plenty of room for some followers.
Yeah, because you killed 5.
Hey, they were the ones that got old.
No, I'm not...
2 of them. You killed one of them like the first day he was there, because that evil dude pitted him against you.
Fuzzface?
That's
I
actually
know.
the name of the guitar pedal.
Fuzzface?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, we only got to see Tentacles for 5 minutes before you ended up killing him because he was subjected to the wrath of Shawarma.
Wrath of Shawarma.
Joni the Pony.
Figured it was gonna be. I was gonna say something. I was like, man, we'll just see what happens.
He's the long lost cousin of Tony the Pony.
Projectile.
Bomb Teddy? Projectile? Wasn't there one that would like go off and find blue hearts for you, or was it red hearts?
It was red hearts.
Red hearts.
Oh. The thing that
so
you
if
can't
it was
pick
blue
up.
hearts, you should definitely do the blue hearts.
Did they come back to life after I use them as a...
yeah, they just come back. Okay. They're just like tired or something like that.
They're tired and exhausted, and I don't think they actually take any damage as a demon follower as you do dungeon runs. I don't think it's possible for them to get hit, but...
Merciless hammer. Looks like a potato masher.
It does.
Let me mash my potatoes. Let me mash my potatoes.
Is that what those are? Those are mashed potatoes now, not cheese.
See, it doesn't look like a potato masher to me. It looks like a meat tenderizer.
Oh, this looks like a bad guy. What's this do?
It's a cheese hammer. No, it looks like he's friendly. I don't know why you're attacking him. He's just...
Alright.
We've forgotten how to play so quickly.
Missed it.
So, I've got some terrible news.
What's your terrible news?
It's relevant to the last, probably the episode before the last one.
Okay. Your old man angriness?
My old man angriness.
I can't dodge mid
neighbor's dog is in there. It's back in their backyard. It didn't find a better place to live.
That's actually really terrible news.
Yeah.
Do they have anything to say about it, or?
I don't talk to them. So.
No, I just didn't know.
I was walking my dog and that dog's trying to dig underneath the fence and and bark at everybody who's coming by, and it was doing that this morning. And they were back there yelling at it, so.
Yeah. Yeah. People suck.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the wrong kind of dog for the situation. Like, it's a working dog. It needs a job. It needs to run around all the time. It has a lot of energy and needs to be put to use doing those kinds of things.
Do you know what kind of breed it is?
It's a blue heeler. So it's like a cattle dog.
Yeah.
Like, it needs to go out and herd animals and have a job doing something.
You can't just be a dog that sits around and does nothing in the backyard.
Yeah. Then that's why it acts the way that it acts. And it's like, does
the neighbor people have any kids or anything?
Oh yeah, they've got kids.
But the kids don't play with the dog.
I mean, even if the kids did play with the dog, and there were times that the kids did, but it's like, the dog needs to run nonstop.
Yeah, well, it needs to be stimulated both physically and intellectually.
Oh yeah. Much like Loki.
I am not going to do
intellectual stimulation.
It just kind of sucks because it seems like you're getting a lot of heavy weapons and not quick weapons.
Hades was kind of the same way, right? Which is a lot of what people said this was it's similar to Hades, where that doesn't jive with me. Like, I like building out a character. I'm more RPG fan, right? Like, I like building out a character and a build and those kinds of things. Not like, well, hopefully this thing spawns this time.
Yeah, that's a lot of what I have against dungeon run style games, because I don't want to die and lose all my progress and then have to rebuild that progress through another dungeon run. That's one of the reasons why I wasn't really big on Hades, is because I know that it's the idea of the story and how it incorporates into what you're doing, but it just felt... I think it would make me a little bit more frustrated, because I would die and then it's like, I had such a good build this run, now I've lost it, now I have to redo the dungeon run and my equipment's going to be different, my build out's going to be different, things like that.
Yeah, I tried to play back.
I enjoyed the gameplay.
No, we're just talking about the differences. Like that's the thing that I wouldn't frustrate me.
But I mean, you kind of go into it knowing that like probably not going to make it.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially
so it's when you do make it, it's like yes.
Especially Hades is. I mean, that's the concept of the game. Like, it's like, what am I not understanding? Core concept here. Like that's the fundamental of the game. Mm-hmm. But no, I mean, even with RPGs with Mass Effect, I tried to go back and play Mass Effect, and I was like, I'm going to play it with a different style. Like the first time I played through, I was more of a sniper, and I sat back and I was like, I'm going to play through with like more of a shotgun build and using the bionic stuff that they had. It's science magic somehow, and I didn't even make it through like the first mission. I was just like, nope, this just does not jive. Like I was like, I'm not going to entertain or be entertained through hundreds of hours of this.
And I think that's kind of what really does come down to your build as a character. I think it's because you play D&D,
yeah,
and I think that
and that's more what that's built around. Is you're planning ahead makes a lot of sense. Like understanding where your characters are going and like the spells and abilities is smart.
And understanding that, you know, the basic idea is to enjoy what you're playing.
Yeah.
Because I know that a lot of people always come out of the woodwork saying, your build's not OP, and this isn't how you would normally play this character and things like that. But if the person who built the character is enjoying what they're playing as, that should be what matters. Because sure, you can always build this OP character that can take someone out in one hit, but where's the fun in the struggle, the fight?
But building within that, there's certain classes that are geared around certain scores. As you're building a character, whoa, that was a big explosion thing. But so like, you don't want to build a character that their spells are built around the wisdom ability, and then give you that character low wisdom, because that means that everything's going to fail all the time.
Are you still upset about Gary?
I'm like that's the limitation that came up from that, where it's just like, and even with my character, like I didn't think through ahead on things, and I was like, well, I'm going to do this rather than this, and it's like there are spells that I have that the other person I'm using them on has to roll a save against, and will eventually hit characters who just naturally have an ability score that's higher, so they don't even have to roll. They naturally, like, I can't use those spells. Funny thing is, though, I usually end up winning when I've used those spells. Like, it's succeeded and it's been like, well, that wasn't supposed to work, but it did. And so it does create a more interesting thing. But, you know, it's where do you want the weakness to be? Because it's not going to be one of those things where it's like, hey, let's max out every single stat. Because then, what's the point? You're unstoppable. Like, why play the game?
You're just basically a god at that point,
It's like, why go into a game and turn on the cheats? Like, you're going to have fun for 20 minutes, and then it's going to be like, all right, whatever. I say that.
I'm done with this game.
I say that. That's how I played most of the games growing up. Like,
No, and I completely understand that, because that was...
Doom, the first thing you do is you hit God mode and no clip, and you just fly through the level shooting whatever you want. But
To be fair, we were kids and not very good at games.
Yeah. And also, to be fair, the difference between doing that in Doom and just playing Doom is you're flying through the walls and you can't be hurt, rather than you've got to walk on a path and you can be hurt. Like, the point of the game is to just shoot things.
Yeah. One of the things that always came up with games is different people, different siblings I had basically like the game sharks or the code breakers and things like that. And the rule was that you had to beat the game normally, without cheats. But once you beat the game, you could use cheats because you've already beaten the game at that point. And so you already spent the effort of going through the effort of doing that. And that way it wasn't just you cheating right off the bat. And so that was how a lot of it worked with, you know, my family when it came to cheating in video games. With the old PlayStation Game Sharks, code breakers, things like that.
There was kids in my neighborhood that their parents were kind of the same way. Like, you can't use cheating, that's wrong, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, I'm here to have fun. I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
It's a video game.
it's a video game. It's not life. Like, I'm not stealing from people.
You're stealing the enjoyment for the people who created the games somehow by you not suffering at their
Well, but also, like, thinking
extremely
through
difficult game.
old games, like The Lion King on the Sega Genesis. Like,
Yeah.
or, yeah, it's just like, you know, these games weren't necessarily built to be beaten or to be fair, or, you know, they weren't as play tested as they should have been.
Yeah.
Or they're,
Yeah.
you know, games that were based off of arcades. We talked about this last time with stuff with Activision and EA. You know, they were designed to be difficult, so you put more quarters in them.
Yeah, and they had a joke that game systems and games built in, you know, the 80s and 90s could withstand a lot of damage to them as opposed to systems now. And I just think that might be true only because we have kids who rage at games a lot easier because of that arcade mechanic. Because games are built to be harder. In the early stages of at-home game systems. And that's not discrediting any games now that are hard, like the infamous video game company who creates Dark Souls and things like that.
Yeah, and see, this thing is, like, I know people who love those kinds of games. I'm just like, I'm just not one of those. Like, I actually do appreciate, I don't ever actually choose this option, but I always appreciate when the game has the, hey, do you want to just, the story difficulty? Like, you want to just play the story, you don't want to really, you know.
You just want to chill out.
You just want to chill out and relax and have a good time and play the game. Like, I appreciate that. I still never choose it, so. But I'm also, like, I hit a point in my life where I was just like, I'm not necessarily going to jump to the hardest level like I used to. So,
Yeah.
that being said, I do take an odd level of pride in knowing that I've beaten all of the Halos up to Halo 4 on Legendary difficulty. Like, I'm super cool because I've done that.
So you talk about that. There's a game in the Kingdom Hearts series that there's basically a special boss fight that you can do. It's kind of secretive, but not really secretive. But for the trophy hunters who are going around trying to collect all the trophies that they can for a game, it is kind of a required thing to do.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But this boss is a one hit, and you go into critical state. One more hit after that, and you're just dead. and you have to beat the boss with the 3 characters in that game. And one of the characters doesn't have an adequate dodge capability, so you can't actually dodge any of the attacks. So it's made 10 times more difficult than normal. And I believe at the time that I read the article, the creator of the game had said that he never beat that boss with that character because he's just like, it's too hard. And I cannot stress how hard it actually was, but knowing that I was able to do it, I was like, yes. Oh.
It's funny, it's the creator saying that. That's where most of the cheat codes exist, with like the hidden things, like early Castlevania games, where it's like, oh, if you go over here and you jump over here, you get all these things. It's like, that's how the developers tested the game. Like,
yeah.
You know, the up, down, down, left, right, the contra code. That was so that the developers could get through it. Like,
yeah.
Hey, we need to test this level to make sure that it's functional. But we've got to get to that level first. Mm-hmm. And that's why they exist.
I almost wonder how many games we've played in the past that we should 100% complete, if there are any that...
Oh, well, I'm not going to get into completionist runs on things. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, even when it comes to some of the series that I've played on lives for lives, it's like, oh, this is taking way too long for me to get through, because I'm playing for like 2-hour chunks at a time instead of just, powering through them.
Yeah.
So it ends up taking months instead of, a week or 2.
And that's if you're lucky, because then life, can get in the way, and so you can't get to it for a little bit, and so what would originally take maybe a week or 2 turns into months in general.
Yeah. Yeah,
but
that's Red Dead Redemption right now. It's like, I've played that once a week, maybe, over the last several months. I think I just started chapter 3 of. I think they said there's 6 main chapters and 2 epilogue chapters, something like that.
And you're just barely on the 3rd chapter?
Just barely starting the 3rd chapter. I mean, it's also one of those games where you can just goof around and not do the main story and just waste time, and so sometimes there's just that time wasting going on. Sometimes I'm rolling people through fields instead of accomplishing missions and quests and progressing the story, so...
Yeah, but at the end of the day, if people like watching you do that, and you enjoy doing that...
I don't care if people like watching me roll people through fields. I enjoy rolling people through fields. That is the most entertaining video game I've played, I think, ever. Hands down.
Just because of the roll mechanic?
I walked into this dude and I just started rolling him through a field nonstop.
Whoa.
It was hilarious.
He wasn't very happy about it either.
Oh, no. What's great is, like, it wasn't like that's some weird thing. Like, people commented on the shorts that were like, that was my favorite thing to do in that game. I'm like, wait, what? It's just a thing you can do, is just roll people around?
It's like the more you know. But that's something that I find in a lot of content that's posted online, is experiences that you think are so unique to you. You find out that there are other people in the world who have those same experiences.
Yeah, it's one of the funny things I see on short form content where people are like, surely nobody remembers this random movie from my childhood, and you're like, what was that noise?
A phone.
I had my phone.
Oh, just
I was gonna say, it sounded like it was a vibration of like a text or a phone call or something.
It vibrated my brain. Anyway, it's like, here's this thing that was put out for public consumption that they wanted as many people as possible to see. It's like, surely no one remembers this thing.
What's this?
All right.
Door?
Is it a card?
It might be a tarot card. Yeah.
Yep. It's a door. It's a way out.
But not the game.
Wasn't there something you could do on the pedestal in that one too?
Too late.
If you give money, it'll give you another tarot card.
You have to give money.
Yeah. So I can just bypass all the fighting. That's cool.
This will be the run because you don't have to fight the whole time.
Yeah. It's not the movie. It's not the movie experience that gets me. It's usually the sibling experience where I just think that's a little too relatable.
Yeah. So what's funny too, because thinking back through old man Loki complaining about life.
Get off my lawn.
Because we were complaining about school and stuff as well. I thought about this after that, but it's relevant to this where people are thinking that their experiences are unique.
Mm-hmm.
I had a film as literature class in high school, and the teacher was being like hipster, pompous, like I'm better than you guys because I have taste in music. And he was talking about the band Portishead. He was showing us a concert that they had put on, which was an album that they had released as well. They released the concert as an album, and it was so trip hop band, but they did it with the New York Philharmonic. Mm-hmm. And it was like you guys probably aren't that cool and don't know these kinds of things. And I was like, I've been looking for this album forever because it was back in the day when you didn't get music off of Spotify. You actually had to buy physical media for it.
Yeah.
I was like, where did you get it? And he was like, you know about them? And I'm like, yeah, they're a fantastic band. They're amazing. I've liked them forever. And I've been looking for this, because it is a little bit more rare to find the live DVD, recording of it. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh yeah, I got it from Media Play, which was like the big conglomerate movie record store kind of thing. I was just like, so you didn't even find it from a unique place, it just happens to be there, or you special ordered it from him? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, so this thing that you think is cool and special is just not. And he's like, shut up. Just like, all right.
See, I
actually like cool music too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I remember the old school days of when you bought computer games disc-wise, and it's just a random card.
Or do you get all of them?
I don't know.
Oh, you do get all of them.
It's really trying to help you, it looks like.
It's getting the game's pity.
Gain an extra half a heart, but now when you have half a heart, you do double damage.
So should I always be doing...
So now you're going to do double... You're going to always be doing double damage now as well.
Yeah.
And you skipped most of the fights.
Yeah. But I remember Circuit City, where they had the headphones that always allowed you to test music.
Oh, yeah.
And even Barnes & Noble had it. I didn't work there at Barnes & Noble when they had it, but they had the old stations still there that you could...
you could sample.
Yeah, you could sample. The stations were still there, the setup, but they didn't work anymore. But a lot of things like that. GameStop, I haven't been in a GameStop in years, but they used to have, if they don't still have, the console set up for you to test games and things like that. And I just remember spending so much time in GameStop or even Walmart, because Walmart had it, of just camping out on their systems, just playing whatever game that they had.
Yeah, that was Sonic the Hedgehog 3 when that was released. My brothers and I my two brothers laid claim to playing it first when we got it. Mm-hmm. And I was pissed because I was gonna have to wait for the two of them to play before I had a chance to play.
Right.
But then when my mom went to go and buy it, she was like, all right, who's coming with me? And both of my brothers were like, no, we're not gonna go. And I remember being upset. It was just like, you guys want to play first, but you're not even willing to go with mom to get the game.
Right.
Also, look at that, how much damage you've already done to this guy versus the last time you fought him.
Yeah.
This is the build that you need every single time.
Well, I think it does help that he skipped basically every single fight.
You skipped a bunch, but you're also doing double damage because of the one red heart, half red heart that you got. So those 3 cards were killer. I mean, it's still difficult. I mean, you're losing hearts, but
it's a hard boss.
Anyway.
He's shooting little beams at him.
Yeah. Back to Sonic the Hedgehog. I went with my mom to buy the game, and we went to Toys R Us, and they had the kiosk set up with that. And usually it wasn't that, but because it was new, they set that one up. So my mom stayed extra and let me play in the store. It was her workaround.
Oh.
So that I got to play first.
Yeah, okay.
But technically, we didn't break the rules, and my brothers got to play first when we got home. So like, we were there for like an hour, and I got to play the game for like an hour before.
Right.
Before, like technically before we had it. So thanks, Mom.
Thanks. Yeah. But it's just like, and you've been just talking about media play, because now I believe, I can't remember if there was another one in between media play, but now it's for your entertainment. Or
Yeah, I think For Your Entertainment bought, or they changed all of the names from media play to For Your FYE.
yeah, but I can't remember if there was a name in between the two, or if it just went straight to FYE. But that was how that's how I learned about a lot of different movies or music or things like that, is because of the accessibility that you could sample music or you could play games or things like that. But now that the internet is more accessible to a lot of people, you know, they just have access through it on their phone or whatnot.
And that's one of those things that I always felt was a little bit of a downside with like streaming services, because I use Amazon Music because I have Amazon Prime. But this was a couple of years ago. I was like, you know what? They had your Discovery mix. I was like, I'm going to check this out and see what that is. And the first song that came up, I was blown away by a band named Clipping. And like went to the album, listened to the entire album that it was on, was blown away by the whole album. I was like, wow, that was really cool. I didn't expect that from a streaming experience, that they would recommend something that was, because usually it's like you go to the homepage and it's like, here's a bunch of music that we think you should listen to. And I was like, this feels more like the radio days,
where
it
the
was
top 100.
the radio's telling you what's cool, and you're like, I don't like this music. But with Amazon, it's even worse, where it's just like, these aren't genres that I've listened to at all. Like, I don't know why you would be recommending Kenny Chesney to me. Like,
You don't listen to country music?
I amazingly enough, I don't.
That's actually because I don't listen to Spotify unless there's a specific artist that I know about that I can only find through like Spotify or something like it. But I don't. One of my friends, actually 2 of my friends that I know of, they tend to go through the like Spotify recommendation type thing of, you listen to this artist, you liked this artist, you might like this other artist and things like that. But I feel like it takes too much of the control out of my hands, because it's like, I know what music I like. Don't be trying to push this other, like Kenny Chesney for you. I don't listen to, you're like, I don't listen to country. Why are you offering this up for me to listen to? Type thing.
So I was like, I used to discover music in a lot of different ways. There were some local radio stations that were really good at that for a while, and then they got bought out by corporate interests, and it was just the popular things.
Yeah.
But like even MTV used to have programs, or MTV2 had Subterranean that was like, hey, here's newer stuff before it kind of even hits the mainstream. So it was really
I
cool.
remember the MTV days of music videos. That was how I saw a lot, because I was never big into music videos because it was just not something that I cared about. But there were a lot of music videos that I remember seeing on MTV, and now they're just kind of ingrained into my brain to where it's like, oh yeah, I remember this from so long ago type thing.
It's one of those weird things, speaking of media play and MTV.
Yeah.
I really, really wanted Soundgarden's Super Unknown album, and I kept going into media play, and they kept not having it. And I was I don't remember specifically if it was like it's out of stock but I the way I remember it was more like it hasn't been released yet, and I was really confused because like it's all over the radio. Black Hole Sun is like nonstop on the radio, and I see the music video like every 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. So how is it that I can't buy the album that it's on?
Yeah.
And yeah. And I remember going to Media Play and like I wasn't a teenager yet, but I remember whatever the teenagers working there were like, yeah, man, it's not here, sorry. And I think one of them at one point in time was like, we've got the Japanese single of Black Hole Sun, and I'm like, no, I want the whole album. I don't want like
I don't want
single
just the
that's
song.
just the one song. Like it's weird. Like I was like, it's weird to me that you guys have this and not the full album. Like, how am I not like? I don't know how I'm not understanding the situation.
That was the first CD I ever owned.
The Black Hole album or the Black Soul?
The Black Hole, the Super Unknown.
Yeah, that was the first album Nugget ever owned.
It was.
Wow.
Probably like the third or fourth one I ever owned.
Well, the first CD.
First CD, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes. The first CD I ever owned was the Gremlins 2 soundtrack. Because I'm cool.
Super cool.
The second CD I ever owned was Smash by The Offspring. So it's weird spectrum of, hey, you're a kid and you like things that kids would like. So I got the soundtrack to a movie that I liked as a kid, and then hey, here's the popular music at the time that you're listening to. I remember my grandma being upset because the album cover was like a X-ray of a skeleton or something like that was broken up. Growing up in a religiously conservative area as well, I had friends who were always bad-mouthing my music because I listened to heavy metal and stuff and things like that growing up. And it was a very fun moment for me. Over at a friend's house, and we're sitting there playing on his computer in the family office. And there's a whole stack of CDs next to us, and I'm just looking through those, and it was the kind of stuff you'd expect. But then, like, smack dab in the middle was a Kiss album, and I'm like, wait a minute, you've given me flack my whole life, and you guys listen to Kiss? He's like, what? It's just rock and roll, and I'm like, yeah, that's all I'm listening to.
Yeah.
Like.
So, one of my best friends, growing up in a conservative environment, it was, you can't watch R-rated movies. You can't swear, you can't do all these things. And way back in the day, me and this friend, we started a tradition of around Halloween, we would do scary movie night. And it wasn't necessarily scary movies because we would watch TV shows if there were good ones that came out around then, but we started that tradition. And it's fascinating to see the progression of horror movies and just movies in general, to where before it was like, no, it has to be strictly PG-13 is the highest it can go, and you have to be careful of language if there's nudity of any kind or whatnot, to where now it's just, if the movie seems remotely interesting at all, regardless of rating, it's like, sure, we'll watch this. Yeah, and so it's just fascinating to see that transgression how it progressed.
I had a similar experience with a friend, Halloween, and we were talking about movies and things, and like I think there was a whole bunch of people getting ready to watch a movie, and Scream had come out that year.
Yeah.
And I had seen it, they hadn't. In fact, I think my dad took us to see it in theaters. And I was just talking with him about that, and a local religious figure was there and overheard us and started chastising me for having seen it.
Yeah.
And telling me about how terrible my parents were for letting me see it, and blah, 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 blah. And my friend's dad kind of intervened a little bit, and I was like, I'm not advocating that we get this movie or we watch it. I just mentioned that I had seen it.
Yeah.
And so my friend's dad was like, well, what if we compromise and we watch something else that's not a scary movie and not inappropriate or whatever? And I'm like, okay, I'm not telling anybody to watch anything. Like, it's not even on the table. Like, we don't have the movie. Like, it's not like we're choosing between these two. It's just, I've just seen it. And so the compromise they came up with was we watched The Abyss. the James Cameron movie,
Yeah.
which is PG-13.
Yeah.
It also has nudity in it.
Yeah.
So they're going like, you guys are mad at me because I've seen an R-rated movie. But then your recommendation is that we watch...
Even with Scream.
In context, like, yeah. Like, Scream's...
It was just for language and blood and gore.
And some blood and gore, yeah. Well, and especially through, like, you talked about the evolution of scary movies. Like, we reviewed Halloween and the very first Halloween and the very first Friday the 13th, and it's like, those wouldn't even be classified as gore.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases these days.
I mean, the only thing that might is just the scene with the bullet through the neck. Like, maybe that. But even then, though, it's still just in a conservative environment, the absolute no, you can't do this and you can't watch that, and it's you're a heathen and you're going to hell for even thinking about things like that.
Well, and you might be young enough, I don't know, and Nugget, you might not remember, but it was a big deal when The Lion King came out because it was PG.
Yeah.
And, like, people weren't taking their kids to see it. And there was, like, I mean, like, it's a Disney movie. It was a big controversial thing, and you're like, okay, all right.
Right. Well, and I think the idea of animation, because you look at early cartoons, and they were heavily tailored to kids, and then
okay,
you
that
kind
they're
of
racist.
Yeah, it's okay that they're racist, but how often is a kid going to notice that though? I mean, now, but
the early seasons of Sesame Street actually have warnings for kids and parents because they're like, there were some things that probably weren't smart for us to teach.
Right. But
or they were appropriate for the times, or not necessarily appropriate for the times, but fit the times better than
We're socially acceptable.
Yeah.
Or, hey, if you're lost, go find a stranger and ask them for help.
Right, but stranger danger, so you can't talk to strangers.
Yeah.
But you have the progression of cartoons and animation. So probably up until the point of Lion King, all of them were G if they were actually rated.
It was, I think it was more just like there was, the topics were, it dealt with death and showed those kinds of things where you're like, it really doesn't. Like, it doesn't do it any different than any, like, older Disney movies either, which is the thing. Like, Bambi's mom gets shot at the beginning.
Yeah, like, how it, like, opens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then thinking through a lot of the other movies, like, or books and stuff that we read as kids, like, you're like, I can't believe that people were getting upset at The Lion King. But the same period of time, I can't remember the name of this book for the life of me, but we read it in, like, 5th or 6th grade. And it was like this guy, he's a hunting guide, and he takes this other guy out hunting, and they see something that they're not quite sure what it is, and the guy shoots and hits it, and they go up and find it, and it was just a homeless dude, like out in the woods somehow.
Okay.
And the guide then is like, oh, we've got to take care of this, and the other guy's like, no, I'm going to hunt you now.
Okay.
But it goes into, like, graphic detail of, like, the bullet took the guy's lungs, blew them out of his back, and all that kind of stuff, and like the other guy's fighting for survival, and you're just like, that was totally cool for us to read in grade school.
Yeah.
But The Lion King was too much.
Well, and but with animation though, you look at a lot of how it's progressed, because you get the adult cartoons now, whether it's things that are airing on Amazon or things that are airing on, like, Netflix, the adult content, whether it's swearing, nudity, graphic, or you've got that in just movies in general. Because I remember when the animated movie Sausage Party was, like, the trailer was released, and the I guess characters were swearing and there were innuendos and all of this that I thought, that's new. Only because you don't see that. Because a lot of the time you look at animation and you think it's the idea is that animation is tailored more towards kids, and adults can't enjoy animation at all. It's only supposed to be for kids, and so
It's not
I mean,
true.
it's not true. But that's kind of the idea that flows in a lot of people's heads.
That's what it was
And-
originally targeted for. So that's why the perception's there.
Yeah, and so that's why it's just interesting seeing a progression of how things are being made or created, that it's not just supposed to be tailored to kids anymore, that it's, depending on the content, it's for all ages or more for an adult audience, whether it's strictly an adult audience or just like a PG-13 rating, so to speak, for if it's a TV
Well, and
show.
I mean, they've always like, and this is more 2000s on kind of a thing, Pixar and DreamWorks kind of things, where they always try to make it entertaining for the parents who are there. So there's always the jokes that kids don't get or that go over kids' heads. So do you have 2
He does,
followers?
because he upgraded his demon circle. That allows him to take 2 followers with him. But he's kind of lost a lot of life, unfortunately. And it's also
that'll be
unfortunate
fine.
with this area that they just keep spitting balls at you. I think that's like the main move of all these enemies.
But they run real fast at you. And there's a bunch
Yeah.
of them. Yeah.
We can. I guess we can end with Batman.
Batty Nats.
That's
We can end with Batty Nats.
he seems to enjoy it. Anyway, bye everybody.
See ya.